The world's final frontier is melting. Beneath the Arctic's ice lies trillions of dollars in oil, gas, and rare minerals. As the ice recedes, the question is no longer if, but who will control the Arctic. And the answer could reshape global power for decades to come. For centuries, the Arctic remained a realm of myth and mystery, a frozen wilderness guarded by impenetrable ice. It was a place for explorers, for indigenous communities who lived in harmony with its harsh beauty, and for the occasional scientific expedition. It felt distant, untouchable, a pristine jewel at the top of our world. But that world, the one we thought we knew, is gone. The ice is retreating, not slowly, but with a terrifying speed, revealing not just open water, but a treasure trove of resources and strategic pathways that have ignited one of the most high-stakes geopolitical contests of the 21st century. This is not just a story about melting ice. This is a story about raw power, about the insatiable hunger for resources, and about the future of global dominance. It is a narrative unfolding before our very eyes, a silent battle for a prize that could redefine the balance of power for generations. Imagine a vast, untapped vault, locked away for millennia. The U.S. Geological Survey estimates that this vault, the Arctic, holds 13% of the world's undiscovered oil and a staggering 30% of its natural gas. But it is not just fossil fuels. Beneath the permafrost and seabed lie rare earth minerals, the very building blocks of our modern technology. From smartphones to electric vehicles, from medical devices to advanced weaponry, suddenly, this once desolate region transforms into one of the richest, most coveted territories on Earth. It is a prize so immense, it is almost beyond comprehension. But the allure extends beyond mere resources. The melting ice is carving open new maritime routes, pathways that promise to revolutionize global trade. The Northern Sea Route, stretching along Russia's Arctic coast, and the legendary Northwest Passage through Canada's archipelago could cut shipping times between Asia, Europe, and North America by half. Think about that. Half the time, half the fuel, half the cost. For a world driven by commerce, these are not just shortcuts. They are game changers, promising unprecedented economic advantage to whoever controls them. And so, the players have arrived, each with their own ambitions, their own claims, and their own vision for this new frontier. First, there is Russia. With the longest Arctic coastline, Russia does not just see itself as a player. It sees itself as the dominant power. Moscow has poured billions into military bases, advanced icebreakers, and extensive exploration. For them, the Arctic is not just a region. It is their strategic resource base for the 21st century, a lifeline in an increasingly hostile global landscape. Their actions speak volumes, a resurgent military presence, a clear declaration of intent. Then, the United States. While controlling Alaska's northern edge, Washington finds itself playing catch-up, particularly in icebreaker capacity. Yet, the U.S. views the Arctic through the lens of national security, a critical counterweight to Russia's growing influence. It is a strategic imperative, a front line in a new kind of Cold War. And then, an unexpected contender, China. Though geographically distant, China has boldly declared itself a near-Arctic state. It is a declaration that raises eyebrows, but their actions are undeniable. Beijing is investing heavily in polar research, building its own fleet of icebreakers, and weaving its influence through economic projects, extending its Belt and Road Initiative into the icy north. China's presence signals a global ambition that knows no geographical bounds. Finally, the Nordic countries, Norway, Denmark, and Canada. These nations, with their own legitimate Arctic territories, find themselves caught in the middle, staking their claims, often against larger powers, as the melting ice expands their territorial waters and exposes new opportunities and vulnerabilities. The stage is set, but the rules of the game are still being written, or rather, fiercely disputed. One of the biggest questions is ownership. The United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea allows nations to extend their territorial claims if they can prove their continental shelf stretches into the Arctic. Russia has filed claims to nearly half the Arctic Ocean, the move that has sent ripples of alarm across the globe. Canada and Denmark dispute parts of this, while the U.S., ironically, has not even ratified the treaty, creating a legal gray zone ripe for conflict. This ambiguity is not just theoretical, it is a flashpoint. Already, Russia has planted its flag on the seabed at the North Pole, a symbolic act of defiance and assertion. Meanwhile, NATO has increased its military exercises in the Arctic Circle, a clear message that the West will not cede ground. The symbolism is stark, the message undeniable. The Arctic is becoming militarized, a new arena for geopolitical tension. And here lies the profound, almost cruel irony. The very climate change that threatens our planet is also fueling this race. Melting ice is the reason these resources and routes are becoming accessible. Yet, the exploitation of these newly exposed fossil fuels could accelerate the very crisis that opened the door in the first place. It is a geopolitical paradox, a self-destructive loop where nations race to burn the fuels that cause the ice to melt, just so they can access even more. It is a tragic testament to humanity's short-sightedness, a desperate grab for power and wealth at the expense of our collective future. For Russia, Arctic resources are a lifeline, a crucial economic buffer amid Western sanctions. For the U.S., they represent an opportunity for energy independence, a strategic advantage in a volatile world. For China, the Arctic shipping lanes are critical for its ambitious Belt and Road Initiative, a pathway to global economic dominance. Every major power sees the Arctic not just as an option, but as a necessity, an indispensable component of their long-term strategy. The Arctic race may never erupt into open war, but its implications are profound. The rising tensions between NATO and Russia, particularly since the war in Ukraine, make Arctic militarization more dangerous than ever. The question remains, will the Arctic become a zone of cooperation, a model for shared stewardship in a changing world? Or will it be the next global flashpoint, a frozen battleground where the future of global power is decided? As the ice melts, the Arctic is no longer the Earth's frozen wilderness. It is the new geopolitical chessboard, where nations maneuver for resources, shipping lanes, and influence. Whoever wins this race will not just control oil and minerals, they may control the future of global power itself. The world is watching, holding its breath, as the Arctic story is only just beginning.